Hello everyone. I know it's been a long time since I've filmed a video in this channel, filmed and uploaded a video in this channel. I'm not gonna lie, I'm filming this again. I had already filmed this video before, but honestly my skin was not that good that day and I just did not feel like uploading something which I was not 100% sure about. So I filmed it again today. So this is the look at the end of the video that you're gonna get. I'm so sorry for not posting more, but I have a reason for it. My phone kind of stopped working out of nowhere. It just kind of stopped. I had to buy a new phone, which took a little bit of time. And then when I finally got my phone, I realized that I use a Boya mic to record my videos, and for that I need a headphone jack. And in my new phone, there is no headphone jack. I use a Samsung phone now. As you know, Samsung's phones don't have headphone jacks. And now I'm left with a mic which I bought recently, which I can't use anymore. So I bought different connectors and tried my mic through those connectors and it did not work at all. Nothing works and I don't know what to do anymore. The audio might be off and I'm very sorry about that. As you read from the title, in this video I'll be talking about some of the favorite. I'm gonna nostalgia bait you and talk about all my favorite cartoons slash anime, because honestly I was much more of an anime girl than a cartoon girl. I used to watch kind of a few cartoons but not a lot, so I have so many more cartoons or animes to talk about. So if you like this video, do like and let me know that you would want to watch more videos like this. So the very first anime that I would like to talk about is Naruto. I feel like everyone by now knows Naruto. The amount of Instagram stories I've seen of Naruto clearly shows me that everyone is a fan. Right now I'm using this sachet of MAC foundation that I have lying around. I think everyone by now knows about Naruto. I don't think I need to elaborate on what it is about. The plot is quite simple at start. Naruto is a young adolescent, he's 12. If you don't know anything about it, then it's about the ninja world and how Naruto as a young man is shunned for mysterious reasons. The villagers kind of abuse him. They call him a monster for reasons which we don't know. I mean, it's quite clear, but yeah. So it's basically about how he wants to be the Hokage. The Hokage is like the military leader of the village, and the Hokage is obviously the most respected, the most powerful ninja or shinobi as they would like to call it. The story follows Naruto, but it adds on to different characters who grow up with him, like his teammates Sakura and Sasuke and Kakashi. They kind of are the central plot to the whole series. Naruto is a long ass series. If you don't know that, it's like very long. There's even a sequel with their kids, like the characters' kids. So if you ever sit down and watch it, be ready for a like keeping the next week open because it's gonna be a long time before you finish it. Naruto was basically the very first anime that my sister and I were really into. Both of ours favorite characters are pretty similar. Like my sister loved Kakashi from the very start. I was a bit skeptical of him because I did not like him as a teacher. Iruka sensei all the way, he was he was so much better as a teacher for Naruto. Kakashi didn't really teach them that much. He was pretty lax. I mean, that's his character. Sasuke was the only one he was really interested in, and Sakura later on becomes a bit more interesting. But yeah, at the start I really didn't like Kakashi because I just felt like he just gave them work to do and never really helped them out with anything. But I find him really charming now. I feel like his character has so much depth. If you end up actually watching Naruto, then you'll see how his life has gone through so much struggles. And one thing I really like about Naruto is the fact that each character has their own story and every character has something to add to the plot. It's not just, obviously there are a lot of fillers. I'm gonna SpongeBob a little. As much as I enjoyed watching it, SpongeBob was like a brainless cartoon. You just put it on and you just watch it. There's no real depth to it, and I think that is very different for a Japanese anime. Like a lot of Japanese animes, most of them go through so much. They show the struggles, they show maturity, there's depth of character, there are themes, there are different universes and everything. There's so much just depth in Japanese anime which is really lacking in most of the cartoons that we see today. So yeah, I really enjoyed Naruto, and the funny thing is, the first time I came across Naruto was in Cartoon Network, and that time we had Cartoon Network in Hindi. We would watch Naruto in Hindi, which was hilarious now that I look back, because the song "We Are Fighting Dreamers," we had it at and it was just so hilarious to think about it now, because we would discuss it with our friends, and they would be watching it in English dub, and they would be like, yeah, it's like this, and we would nod along as if we knew, but we were watching the Hindi version of it. So yeah, it was really fun. I think Naruto was the gateway for all the animes that we ended up watching. The next cartoon or anime I remember watching very clearly was Inuyasha. Inuyasha was around the time when Animax hit really hard in India. Like, there was a time where Animax would show all the cartoons that they would show in Japan with the 12-hour delay. We would get the episodes 12 hours later. Inuyasha was another anime that we watched a lot as kids. It's about how Kagome is a female high school student who falls into a well in her house, which is a shrine, and she falls down to the Sengoku era, where she meets Inuyasha, who is a half human, half dog demon. Inside of her there is a Shikon jewel, which is basically a wish granting jewel kind of a thing, and it kind of emerges from her body and breaks into multiple shards, and it flies across. I'm using this Flower Beauty blush that I got recently, and the shards kind of just go across the world, and Inuyasha, Kagome, and there is Miroku and Sango, they make a team. Miroku and Sango are humans. Miroku is a monk and Sango is a human who wants revenge for her family who were killed by demons, and she has a brother. And basically they form a team, and they go in search for the jewel shards so that they can fight against the demon Miroku. Now, Inuyasha is an anime which I remember watching in parts. I never sat down and watched Inuyasha as a whole. I never remember watching Inuyasha as a whole, so there were obviously plot points which I missed. I remember the first few episodes, and then I remember the last few episodes. So yeah, that's kind of why I am a bit less informed about it. So she goes around and they have their adventures, you know, where they meet different demons and they form alliances. We go through different stories and arcs of each character, and Inuyasha was another one of those animes which really introduced us to Japan and its culture, from the different reference to different Japanese traditions, to different yokais, as you would call it, different demons that were there in the Japanese culture. And I feel like Inuyasha was really interesting for a while, and then I got really angry when Kiko, Inuyasha's ex-lover, who apparently Kagome is a reincarnation of, when she comes and they have this moment where Kiko is kind of like an evil reincarnation or something. Something happens where Kiko is evil and Inuyasha is still in love with her, and Kiko has grudge against him. And there's a scene where she's dying. I get it. She's dying. They're in love. Blah blah blah. I get it. But he kisses her, and at that moment, 12-year-old me, I was just watching with such betrayal for the fact that Inuyasha kissed someone else while Kagome is watching, and I just felt so bad for Kagome, even though I found her to be really annoying. Later on, I did like her more, but at first I was so annoyed by her, and then Inuyasha completely turned me off after that. I was like, oh my god, this guy just cheated on my girl. You are no longer my favorite character. Enter Sesshomaru. If the girls know it, the girls know it. Sesshomaru was the shit. He is so much hotter. He's like the hot version of Inuyasha, and I had such a crush on him because he's just so dreamy. Most of the girls I know, they're more into Sesshomaru than Inuyasha. Like, Inuyasha's cute, but I don't know. I just found Sesshomaru to be so much more appealing. He was the only one out of the characters who had no interest in the jewel. I found his confidence to be really, really sexy. Also, the OSTs were bomb. Like, I really liked all the songs from the anime. Moving on to the girliest era of my childhood. If you desire, you can become. I was introduced to Winx Club. I don't remember the channel it was on, but I remember Winx Club being something that I used to watch every day after school. And anytime it was on, it did not matter which episode it was on, I would watch through it. I would even YouTube the episodes and try watch it there. Till then, I used to watch pretty
boyish. I don't know if you would label it as boyish.
Until then, I would only watch really animes catered to boys or cartoon shows which were kind of gender neutral. Winx Club was the first very feminine cartoon I used to that I watched regularly. Until then, Teen Titans was the only other cartoon that I used to watch daily. If you have not watched Winx Club ever before in your life, it nowhere resembles the Winx Club that Netflix made a live adaptation of. If you watch that, then that is not what I'm talking about. So Bloom is an earthling as you would call it. She is from Earth, and she is a normal teenage girl who has her summer vacation going on. I think she's 16 in the cartoon show. She's 16 and she longs to go on a vacation, but her family cannot afford it, so she's kind of sad about it. She's cycling her way through the town, and while doing that she meets Stella, who is a fairy, and she's fighting this giant, I don't remember what, like a monster, an ogre or something, and she's fighting the ogre, and she sees her dressed in her orange outfit with wings and all, and she's like, oh my god, is she a fairy? Yes, Bloom, she is a fairy. They meet and Stella lives with her, and she introduces Bloom to Althea. She introduces Bloom to the world of magic and how she was actually going to Althea and she accidentally landed on Earth or something like that, and from there on we find out that Bloom actually has some magic of her own, and she decides to go with Stella to Althea. And Althea is a school for fairies, so there are many fairies over there, and over there Bloom starts her life as a fairy, starts living there, and she makes friends. There is Tekna, there is Musa, there is Flora, then there is Layla later on in the series. It was surprisingly a very diverse cast, and apparently every character of Winx was inspired by one of the pop divas or like the actresses of the time. Bloom, I think, was Drew Barrymore, and Stella was inspired by Cameron Diaz. Beyonce inspired Layla. Flora was inspired by Jennifer Lopez, and so much more. Musa was inspired by Lucy Liu, so it was all a very diverse cast, which is why I don't like the Netflix version, because they don't have my girl Flora. Flora was my favorite, she was my girl, and you replace her with someone else whose name isn't even Flora, so I was not into it. And they even, I think they replaced Musa with someone else. I don't think there's an Asian character anymore. Winx Club was such a treat because they were all friends from different backgrounds, and I just feel like Winx Club was all about the fashion, the girly things, you know. They were boys, but the boys weren't the main focus, they were just an interest. They would come sometimes, but most of the time it was just about the girls and the friendship and the adventures they would go on, and I just found it so fulfilling to watch. The fashion was so good, even the villains, so-called villains, I see Darcy and Stormy, they were pretty cool too. I feel like they were pretty cool. I don't know about the general consensus of them. I haven't even watched the Netflix adaptation of it, but as far as I know, apparently Stella and Bloom have the same love interest, or they like fight for the same guy, and I'm just so over it. Like, that's not what Winx Club is about. Winx Club is about friendship. Stella and Bloom never had that. Like, yeah, there was Brandon and Sky. They interchanged their identities so that they could, basically Sky was a prince. Brandon and Sky interchanged their name to protect Sky, but there was no mention of any love interest and rivalry and all that nonsense. I just feel like they kind of missed on the essence of what Winx Club was, which was a completely different kind of cartoon where girls could enjoy being girls without feeling like, you know, oh my god, I need a guy, without being catty. Winx Club was for girls without being catty, you know. It was just such a fresh thing to watch. Now on the other hand, going back to animes, for Shimmer, I think I'm gonna use this one because I have never used this one much. I'm gonna reuse this one and then layer this over it or something like that. Let's see what I do with it. Going back to animes, one of the animes which I would still binge watch daily is Prince of Tennis. I don't know if a lot of people know about Prince of Tennis, but Prince of Tennis was my jam. I had such a huge crush on Ryoma, who's the main protagonist of the series. So basically Prince of Tennis is a shonen manga turned anime, and it focused on Ryoma, who is a tennis prodigy and who is the son of a tennis pro player. He comes from America after his parents divorced. I think they were divorced, so his father calls him to Japan to, I guess, introduce him to the culture or something like that, and he comes back. He joins a Japanese high school, joins the team there, and everyone is just fascinated by him and how good he is as a player. He joins the team as a freshman, which is very surprising. He's the first one to beat the regular and take their spot, so he's kind of the star player without being the star player. And the whole series is all about tennis. There's a little bit of romance with him and a little girl, I forgot her name. I'll put her name somewhere. She was not that interesting, but she was cute. Like, she had a crush on Ryoma and she would help him out, and he would kind of save her, like how she would get in trouble and Ryoma would save her, but then Ryoma would never really actually have an interest on anything else other than tennis, so she was kind of just, she was cute. There were some moments when he returned her affections, but most of the time he just kind of oblivious to the fact that she has a crush on him, but it was cute. And I feel like Prince of Tennis, even though it was a shonen manga, it was very popular with the girls because the characters were so well drawn, well animated, and I feel like it really lightened my interest for tennis because they would put such amazing graphic animations to make us really interested in it. Usually I would, if there was a sports anime, actually I watched a lot of sports anime to be honest. But and Prince of Tennis was special because they would put really nice effects on it. There were different animal representations of the shots that they would play, and it was really cute, and I think it helped retain the attention of the people. So, and to be quite honest, I was never really interested in tennis in real life. I tried playing tennis in school. We had like one class and I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't control my strength, and every time I would hit the ball would just bounce off somewhere else instead of hitting the other side of the court. So it did not deter the fact that I had the biggest crush on Ryoma. He was just so special to me. He was my first actual crush, official crush, apart from Itachi and Kakashi and Sesshomaru, but I mean age appropriate crush. He was my first age appropriate crush. He was 12 and I was 12 then, and I remember watching it a lot. I had one other friend who used to watch it and we used to discuss it, but even as an adult I sometimes do go back and watch the anime, the whole thing over and over again. An American cartoon that I used to watch daily was apart from Winx Club, was Teen Titans. If you don't know Teen Titans, then I'm not talking about the one which comes nowadays, the Teen Titans Go. I think it's for kids, like they have the kids version of it, and that's not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about the old Teen Titans where they're teens. They were my introduction to the DC universe, and Teen Titans was basically about Robin, Batman's sidekick, who does not have any particular powers except for a belt. He's like Doraemon. Robin is like Doraemon, where when something happens he pulls out a gadget from his belt and they solve crimes, and he solves crimes. I think we were introduced to all the characters in the very first episode where Starfire lands on Earth in a very fancy way, so Robin goes to investigate and all the characters come together. My favorite was Robin. So the characters were wow, this is really difficult. So the characters were Robin. My favorite was not Robin, sorry, I said Robin, right? So the characters were Robin, Starfire, Raven, Beast Boy, Cyborg. Yeah, I think that's it. And they all lived in the Teen Titans T-shaped. So Teen Titans was basically about how the team came together and every day they would fight crimes. It was just another one of those cartoons which you would just watch any episode and still be entertained by it. I feel like I really fell into the DC universe through this cartoon series. It was very well animated. It kind of reminded me of Japanese animes in a way because of the way they were drawn and everything. It was very different from the usual American cartoons like SpongeBob and Kids Next Door, and watch it as I realized they are not American cartoons from those. So I remember that very clearly. My favorite character was without doubt Raven. You could not say anything about my girl. She was so cool to me. I'm using my Dior lipstick. This is the first time I'm using it on screen, and wow. You could not say anything about my girl Raven. I found her to be so cool, like her power. Honestly, out of everyone, I loved her powers the most. She could fly, she could turn into an actual raven, she could teleport, so pretty. This lipstick's a bit sheer, but I really like it. But using it hurts my soul because it is so expensive. The power of telekinesis, which I found to be so fascinating, the fact that she could lift objects without using her physical form, and I just found her to be so interesting as a character. She had daddy issues, like major daddy issues, but I still enjoyed her character the most. Starfire was cute, but kind of she was a dumb blonde of the group. No hate to her, I still love her, and I was never really interested in Robin. That is the list of all my favorite cartoons that I used to watch as a kid, and I'm done. So this is my makeup look. This is the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed me talking about my favorite cartoons, and I would love to know about yours. So do comment any of the cartoons that you used to watch, or maybe we watched the same thing. So do comment below, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you like, share and subscribe to my channel. I know I have been absent, but I do promise that I do want to film some more content, so be subscribed to know when I will be posting, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.